Welcome to our Touching Greatness 50th Anniversary Tour Special. Here's your host, Ted Sobel.
Thanks very much. That voice might be very familiar to many of you, and certainly to Ron Cey. That's Paul Olden, the voice of Yankee Stadium, former LA radio guy. And we have the Penguin with us. He is now a Dodger legend, and I always thought he was a Dodger legend anyway. What's up, Ronnie?
Ted, thanks for having me on the show. And it was quite a night.
Yes.
I guess that made it official.
Yeah, and can I say, finally, what the hell took them so long? It's like, are you going to wait till you're 150 or what?
I guess you'd have to ask them.
I know,
But
I know.
it is long overdue, and I'm glad that we were finally able to put that to rest. It was a wonderful experience for my family, my grandkids, and our guests. So
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
good.
that was the best part of it, I think, to watch Fran and your kids and grandkids be all a part of that. I mean, this is something they're going to remember forever.
Well, we were fortunate. We were able to have them down on the field, and actually, before the uh, event got started, I was
Yep.
down there about an hour early and doing some on-field interviews. And the kids came with me, and so they were part of the interviews, and they were throwing the ball around and just playing around and having a good time. And then my son and my grandson got to be part of the first pitch ceremony,
There it is.
and so that was great. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I was pretty amazed. I After I had gotten back up to the suite where we were visiting with our friends and
Yep.
family, I really didn't get a chance to look at the game till about the seventh inning, and and I'm serious about that.
Yeah.
I didn't, because somebody said, that they've had this tribute going on the entire game, in between innings and everything else, and the drone that is out there and everything else. I didn't get a chance to see it until everything was over with.
Oh.
But wow, what a spectacular thing that they were able to pull off.
Yeah. How about Dusty putting on the jacket? It was sort of like you're at the Masters putting on the green jacket, champ. That's what
Yeah,
I thought of.
yeah. Well, it was nice that Bay could be there and
Yep.
participate and be a part of that. It was a lot of fun having a lot of those guys back for the event, and I thank them for being as great as they were and allowing us to accomplish what we did. And it was a great relationship we had.
Have you talked to the grandkids at all? Are they able to appreciate it yet? Are they old enough to say, "Hey, when we're 25 and 30, we're coming back to the stadium. We're going to check out this plaque."
Well, they do at times,
Okay.
but for the most part, I think it's kind of like Disneyland, you know.
No, it makes
And
sense.
yeah, and it's kind of, it's kind of above their reach at the moment.
Yeah.
But my grandson has participated in probably two or three first ball ceremonies, and I usually get him pretty amped up when this happens, and he gets excited about it, and so it's all a good deal. That's, you see, he was just to my left
Yeah.
behind me, and he's 7 years old. So
Oh, that's great. Is he
yeah.
playing ball?
He's playing everything.
Good. That's what it should be.
He loves soccer, and he
Beautiful.
played his first round of flag football, and
Wow.
got introduced to that. So, yeah, as long as they're playing and active and having fun, that's all I can ask.
That's fantastic. Well, you're part of the greatest draft class of all time, 1968. I'm sure you vaguely remember that. Uh, do you remember who the first pick overall in that draft was?
No, but I can tell you who has the highest WAR of everybody that's in that draft list.
Okay. You don't remember who the number one pick in that draft was, huh?
Tim Foley.
No. Well, I mean the number one Dodger pick.
Oh, you mean in all of the
Yeah,
drafts then?
yeah. No, in
Oh,
the 1968 draft, who was the number one guy
oh,
that the Dodgers picked?
well, that was Bobby Valentine.
Of course it was. And look who's here.
Bobby Valentine. Look at you, my friend.
I told you I had some surprises for
That
you.
is a surprise. Yeah.
Thanks,
Give
Bobby.
me a couple more years and I'm going to look just like you.
We don't have your audio, Bob. No audio. Unmute yourself. Oh, God, I hope this. There you go. I think we hear him now, right? That's Bob. It's Bob trying to tie his shoes. We don't hear you, Robert. Oh, no.
What is he in the dungeon over there?
I have no idea where he must be. I'm assuming he's home. There's no. I'll tell you what. Disconnect and come back, Bob, and see if it says check your audio. Anyway, I tried. What are you gonna do?
All right. Yeah. We had you talk about the 68 draft. It is the number one ranked draft of all time. We had 11 players, if you can believe it, 11 players from the 1968 draft that made it to the major leagues. And
actually,
I don't think there's
wrong,
anything
sir.
that's ever been close to that.
There were 16 players from that draft that made it to the majors.
Wow. Well, I must have included the January draft as well then.
Yeah, there was the 2 drafts.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but baseball's never seen anything like that. Probably won't ever again anyway. But the amazing thing about it is that you look at all the players and that were a part of that draft, and all had a lot of them had great longevity. Played 10, 15 years.
Exactly.
So,
now Bobby's all over.
The Dodgers hit the jackpot on that one.
Oh, big time. Oh, it is the greatest draft pick. Can you hear us, Robert? We don't hear you. We don't hear you. This is so disappointing. You got so much to talk about.
Yeah, it's the first time he's ever been muted.
I knew you were going to say that. And Bob was going to say that your bobblehead was life size, just like social.
Yeah, I know. They think they're comedians now, Yeah,
exactly.
and Mike said that live at the event, and unfortunately, I didn't hear that part of it.
Oh, really?
I don't think I responded to it.
No,
yeah, the microphone was having a little bit of an issue.
Okay.
Started with Fred Clare, but anyway, I understood what he had said later, and it is pretty funny. Yeah,
that's exactly. Bob, I'm going to ask you one more time. If you could disconnect, try it, and when you come back, when you hit your link button, see if it says check your audio first, okay? And we'll try that one more time. Damn, I want to get him on. We got stories to tell.
We do.
Yes, we do. Okay.
We used to when we first got to spring training together, finally, we used to go down and rent bicycles for the month that we were there.
Okay. Wow.
And so Buck and I and Tom Pashorek, Wimpy, and Bobby, we used to ride all over Vero Beach.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a great time. Great bonding thing.
What do you remember the first time you met most of the guys that you didn't play with in the minors? Because a lot of those guys were up in Spokane before you were there. Because I look back at you, I guess you were at Albuquerque when they won the PCL. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, we knew each other.
You knew each other from spring training,
I
right?
was, Buck and I actually flew to our very first spring training because we were in school 2 weeks late because of the Vietnam War. We had to be protected. We had to have an education deferment, and we did. And it turns out that my school got done about 2 weeks into spring training, and so did he. And Buck was going to USC at the time. And I remember flying down to LA, and we got on the KO2, the Dodger plane.
Yep.
And it was the crew and Marge Roundtree and Buck and I. That was it on the plane.
Wow. Okay.
And so we sat together the whole time and got to know each other. And actually, Bill's brother Bobby played with me that last summer after we had signed in '68. And so I got to know Billy through Bobby, and Bill got to know me through Bobby. And so we were like half brothers by the time we met for the first time, and hit it off. And actually, Bill is the one that asked me in spring training. He says, "You got a place to stay yet?" and in LA at that point. And I said, no, I don't. He says, good. And then you're coming out this way with me. And so I've been in Woodland Hills for the past 52 years.
That's funny. Where were you guys? You just had an apartment at the time?
No, we were in spring training, and he's talking about, when I was finally gonna, break through and make the club, and
Oh,
he
okay.
said, "Have you got a place to live?" No, but we lived in an apartment for a while,
Right.
and then at the end of my rookie year, somehow someone by the name of Pete Rickert thought it would be a good idea because he told me I was going to be here and be very successful for a long time to
Yes.
buying a home. And I said, "What crystal ball are you looking into?" Because back then, I couldn't afford a house. There
Of
was no
course.
way I could afford a house. But it turns out to be probably the best investment I ever made.
Good. Okay, another try, Bob. Can we hear you now?
I have no idea.
Yes, we can hear you, baby.
Wow!
Holy
Man,
cow!
you are a magician. Thank you.
Jeez,
You did it.
I've done this StreamYard 1,000 times. Now we made it happen.
We made
Hey,
it.
Ron Cey, I know who had the best war of that class too. It was Ron Cey.
You're absolutely correct.
Because I was just at the Hall of Fame and I was mentioning that the guys who vote on that crap up there in Cooperstown, and they had no idea.
Yeah, I know
You
they
know?
don't. As a matter of fact, when it was my turn to be voted on to the first round of the Hall of Fame, I think they forgot who I was because I was one and done, and they gave
Wow.
me about as little credit of being a player as if I had not played at all.
Wow.
Say
And
hey. It was they were only saying hey. They weren't saying Ron Cey. It's amazing.
and
You
I,
know?
I will say this: I think it was last year
Here's
that Ted
Bobby.
Simmons,
Yes.
Ted Simmons, or it was the year before,
Yeah.
got voted into the Hall of Fame by the Veterans Committee. And Teddy, as great a player as he was, got about as much attention as I did that first round. And so somehow they revisited it. But I can tell you right now, I'm extremely pleased that Ted was able to become a Hall of Fame player, but my war is higher than his too.
Wow.
And so here we
You
sit.
know,
And
you know what
I don't
else you
know.
had, Glum? Hey, Glum, you also had barrels. If they were doing these statistics then, your barrel rate would have been higher than all those dudes. I know. I watched it. I used to
Well,
say the same stuff. You could hit it on the barrel. You could walk. You were just the Guam. You didn't get the respect you deserve. I believe that.
well, I think it was years ago when Don Mattingly was managing the Dodgers and Tim Wallach was one of his coaches, and this is when the metrics were kind of introduced to baseball. And yeah, and Eli says to me because I was working there at the time, he says, "Have you had a chance to look over these metrics?" He says, "They're pretty amazing." And I said, "No, I really haven't paid much attention to them." He says, "Well, you really ought to take a look at it because you're more valuable in today's game than we're in your own." So I started to pay attention to it, and I started to see. I'm saying, my God, these would have been pretty handy when I was playing if they were part of our statistics. And
Yeah.
so anyway,
Barrels,
it just
walks, all those
yeah,
things,
all of it. But
Accurate throws, all that. That was
Would have had
all
a bigger contract too,
what
right?
made you
yeah,
what made you you. Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
you also had issues with that injury, and it pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, kind of took away what could have been a brilliant career. Seriously,
Well, we could have
uh,
kind of done it on a
together.
similar path, but you had more power. I think I could have played a long time. I really think I could have, but I
Yeah.
never would have hit with power, and I don't think I would have walked the way you walked either. I was hitting that first pitch a lot, but you liked your pitch. You were really today's player. It's a damn shame.
It's
You
true.
played too soon. You were today's player. You were.
Well,
Yeah.
I would be a poor businessman to disagree with you. But I've really enjoyed our era of baseball. I mean, when you look at it in comparison to what's going on today, It's like being in high school back in my time, wherein the vices were beer and cigarettes, and
That's right. That's
it's
right.
a lot different today. A lot different. The whole way, it's a lot different.
Yeah, everything's different. Bob, you have
Hey,
any early recollections of Penguin that you want to share, like some stories from the very early days?
he's really a lousy bike rider. We
Oh,
did. He used to come by my trailer and pick me up on the way to
that's right.
camp. Because he lived further out. I think because it was cheaper to be further out or something. I'm not sure why, but he used to pick me up, and you know, the early thoughts were, how can we get to play together, because he played third and Garv played third, and then I realized I was gone before Garv was ever switched off a third. If they switched him off earlier, Guam and I would have played together, and I would have a million stories. But mainly, we did our thing in spring training together, and it was fun. And it's kind of X-rated some of the stuff, so we're not going to go there.
I'm glad you brought that up because I remember it was like the first day of spring training, that we could go down into that little city and go to that bike shop where we rented our bikes and then ride them all home. And it was you and me and Wimpy and Buck. And we had the time of our life, man. I mean, we were going to
I
Dairy
loved it.
Queen and we were going to the Dairy Queen and we were going to the Holiday Inn and we were bowling and it was quite a time.
And just FYI, right through all my managerial career, every spring training, I rented a bike, and wherever I was dealing with a bike riding to spring training, just to think I was still a young guy.
Well, you still did it in Japan when you went over there to
Oh,
manage too,
as a
didn't you?
matter of fact, I did it in Japan.
Really?
I rode a
Okay,
bike to the ballpark in Japan. Yeah, and
that's
it was
great.
because of you, Guam. I think it was, you know,
Yeah.
I,
Well,
I got to give
it
it to
was
everybody.
an incredible bonding period, and I always look back at that period of time that we had a chance to spend each other. Was really terrific.
Bob,
Yeah.
how about him finally getting into the Dodger legend of baseball? How many decades does it take to get that to happen? Right?
No, congratulations on that, Ron. Well deserved, no doubt. Overtime and all that stuff. But
Oh no, we lost him again. He's got to pay his Wi-Fi bill,
Somebody
Bob.
must have pulled the plug on him again.
I thought it was you.
No, it wasn't me.
I'm sure he'll be back.
I'm sure he
I got
will.
another surprise audio that I want to play when he does come back. In the
Okay.
meantime, give me a Valentine story that you remember early on, besides the bike riding, because or Buck, which
Oh, Buckner.
yes,
Oh, Buckner. I've got. I
we could do an
can't ever
hour
run
on
out.
that,
I
I'm sure.
can't ever run out of Buckner stories. I mentioned bowling when
Yeah,
Bobby was on here last, and one of the things that we did as a group was that each Sunday we knew we were going to be, playing our exhibition games at Holman Stadium, and it was going to be a game broadcast back to L.A. So we knew we were going to be in Vero every Sunday. So right after the game we made an effort to take our crew over to the 4-lane bowling alley in Vero Beach, and Lasorda was with us. And we would bowl, and from there we would go to the Holiday Inn, and then stop off at the Dairy Queen on the way
okay,
home. Quite a day.
yes,
And this one year, this one spring, it's now our annual first round of bowling, and Buck rolls out a new pair of shoes, a new bowling bag with a new bowling ball and new
wow,
bowling gloves, right?
okay,
And so now we each get, one lane to bowl before we start. And Buck comes out with the Pro Bowler spin. So now we're saying, wow, this guy is officially a Pro Bowler right now. He's got all the gear and he's got the spin. And so now, Buck he's leading off,
right.
and he comes up, and the first ball he throws is a gutter ball.
Oh,
Okay,
you got me.
and as you might expect, we're now all on the floor. Okay,
Okay,
and it went from this tremendous entrance that he made with all this stuff. And each week until the end of spring training, he abandoned his shoes, his glove, the bowling bag, and the bowling ball. He went home with nothing. He
Oh,
got rid of
wow.
everything because it never got any better. So I got to tell you, that was one of the funniest things we've ever seen happen with us. I mean, it was hysterical to see him come out all clad and cocky and confident, and he throws a gutter ball from the beginning. It was lights out from that point
Was
on.
Bobby there? Or
You
I
must
don't
be
think
talking
Bobby
about
was
Billy
there.
Buck bringing his
Yeah,
own ball and shoes to bowling.
that's what
yeah,
he's talking about.
yeah,
he
yeah.
Is that great?
That was a classic. That was an absolute classic.
So, guys,
had
I
his own
have.
ball. He had his own ball, his own shoes, and he couldn't bowl. It's classic.
You gotta love it. I have
Yeah.
1 minute of Billy Buck. The last time I spoke with him at Old Timers game. Let's listen to that. Bucker, welcome back.
Hey,
this is
thank
where
you.
belong.
Yeah, hey,
You hear it?
It's a great
No.
place, you know,
Oh, you
to
can't?
start your career. I mean, it
Maybe
doesn't-
I'm not
you
the
know,
only
it's
one
not-
who's
doesn't
screwing
get any
this
better
thing
than
up.
this. And, you know, the great weather, full.
That's
crowd
all right.
tonight, you know, playing.
You know, if you had a
for the
minute
Dodgers,
of Buck
I mean, it doesn't get
talking,
any
you've
better
got a
than
I'm looking up
scoop.
at the scoreboard.
Because that's
Lopes,
longer than he
Russell,
talked to
Garvey,
anyone in his
Cey,
life.
Strawberry.
I was his roommate. I don't think he
Yeah,
ever
you
talked
know,
a minute long to me.
Where are you at?
You
You know
know
what?
the
I'm
starting lineup?
gonna
I think I was
just
in the starting lineup for the.
tag it here. Oh, that's too bad. I was really hoping because I also have Wimpy, a couple of minutes of Wimpy talking about your draft class, which was on my podcast a few years ago, but you can't hear it, so forget about it.
Well, you know, let me say a little something about Wimpy. You know, as
Yes.
far as him
That's
being
Tommy
in the group,
Paciorek for those who don't know.
him being a part of that
Yes.
group. You know, Lasorda's boys, if you will.
Yes.
Wimpy was, you know, quite an athlete. And he played everything, and he had 3 years of AAA baseball where he drove in 100 runs every single year. And he was, I think, the player of the year in 71. And, you know, he just could not get a big enough smell when it came to the Dodgers giving him an opportunity. And it was
think it
so
was because
disappointing.
It was that one game on that field number 1, right behind the old clubhouse down there in Vero Beach. He didn't wear his sunglasses out to left field, lost the ball in the sun. Walt thought he was an idiot. And, you know, it took him 3 years. It took him 350 RBIs to AAA to get to the big league. It's unbelievable. And, you
Yeah.
know, one other thing about 9 members of his family signed professional baseball contracts.
That is incredible.
I think that's incredible.
That's
And
got to be an
now
all-time record.
that might be all-time record. And
Well-
another all-time record, you mentioned that class. I think that class of 68 has more WAR than any class that ever got drafted. And I had a minus WAR, so I didn't contribute to it at all. But I got
Well-
1,800 wins as a manager. You know, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, all I can tell you is that hats off to the Paciorek family. I wouldn't want to feed that family. I'll tell you that.
Wimpy ate burgers, you know, that's how he got his name.
Exactly.
Hey, you know, one thing I want to ask you, Ronnie, because you always had a great eye. How about this idea about the catchers stealing pitches
Yeah.
and being allowed to do that? Like the second baseman, shortstop used to cheat. They can't cheat anymore. The first baseman used to cheat. They can't cheat anymore. Now the catcher cheats and he gets paid extra for it. What the hell is that all about, in your
Well,
opinion?
you know, there's a lot of things that I don't understand. You know, I don't understand the phantom runner. You know,
Well,
why they give you
that'll be
you know,
gone.
you know,
You
and well, I would hope so
They'll
because
go
you
to
know,
the home run. They're going to go to the
Yeah.
home run.
Yeah,
playoff.
but that's another story.
Oh, they're going to do that. No
Oh,
doubt.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
you know, now that you touched on it, the All-Star game. You know,
Yes.
the All-Star game isn't about the game anymore. It's about the home run contest. And now for the first time, this new thing had been implemented where they have the swing off. I was really disappointed when I saw that. You know, I was kind of hoping for somebody to score a run. But it turns out that they started off with the home run derby. Then they play this game that now is meaningless, the way I see it.
Yeah.
And then they end it with a home run derby. So it's pretty clear that the entertainment value is based around the home run contest. And when you look at the other sports too, when you look at football, you know, their All-Star game is a flag football game. And if you look at basketball, you know, a few years ago, they played this game, this runaway game where it was 200 to 199. And then they said that didn't work. And now they play a game that's first to 40. And none of it works for me. But if that's the way you're going, then the All-Star game, to me, there's a lot of guys being rewarded here for things. And, it seems to be nonsense.
Well, fasten your seatbelt because regular season games are going to be decided with a home run playoff. No doubt in my mind. And I say that only because the other sports, when they go into overtime, the best players always touch the ball. Okay.
Right.
The quarterback
Right.
gets it, the best,
Right.
Michael Jordan gets it. That's not the case with our game. And I think they're going to have it be the case. And I think you go tie, maybe 10 innings of tie, then you're going to have the big boys come out. People will stay to watch to see who hits the best home runs. Maybe one guy has to hit against curveballs, and one guy hit against fastball, one guy hit. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I'll bet money that they're going to do that. And the thing about the catchers stealing signs that I found out talking to a lot of people up at the Hall of Fame this last weekend is that a lot of the guys who work in these analytic departments get paid to collect data. And that catcher thing of stealing pitches is one of the things that is a data entry. And they're not going to take that job away from a guy in the front office because it's a buddy of the general manager. So that's going to stay around. And I think it's pathetic because, I sit in the stands now. I have season tickets for the Angels, all that stuff. I always go up and see Perry and see what's going on with the Angels. And, there's kids at the games. And the two things the kids often ask is, Dad, if that's not a strike, why did they call it a strike? And then the other thing they always ask is, why is the umpire checking the pitcher's glove when he comes off the field? And the answer for both of them are because they're cheating, Johnny.
Oh, that's
why.
great.
Because they're cheating. What a joke. And then they have this betting thing where betting is controlling the game. FanDuel has 17 sports networks around the country.
Yep.
ESPN. Derek Jeter is advertising for a betting app. Are you kidding me? And then they get mad that guys are betting on the first pitch being a ball.
Yeah,
and they're going to suspend guys. Come on. You're not going to put that genie in the bottle. I don't know how they're going to fix it.
Yeah.
Well, I was not an advocate of having gambling creep into the game. I thought it was all just a lot of trouble down the road.
Well, it's here, man. It's here to stay.
It's here and it's in your backyard. And, I think you can even, it's available to, have some kind of an app at the stadium. You can bet on every pitch like we used to see in winter ball when I was in Puerto Rico. We had a chain link fence that separated the stadium in San Juan, and San Juan was on the third base side, and Santurce was on the right field side. And when we would play each other at home, the partition was used as a betting place for all the people, foul ball, strike, base hit, whatever you want.
Wow.
But money was passing through the chain link fence like never seen before.
Well, the three guys who've gotten busted for betting, if you can imagine, are for making bets on throwing the first pitch as a ball. Yep. Can you imagine that you could bet on the first pitch being a ball? I'm not a bettor, but I'm going to tell you what, I'd be tempted if I was a pitcher to put a few bucks on that and pay my dad's mortgage off. I'm going to tell you what.
Well, you can't make really big bets on proposition bets. So
not unless you have a lot of people.
Well, that's true.
Unless you have a lot of people.
Right,
Billy
but when you
Walters,
have that, Bob,
the greatest sports bettor in the history of the world, Billy Walters, had 1,500 guys at one time betting for him around the world.
Right.
So if you have different places, you could bet a lot of money. And I guess that's how the algorithms busted these guys.
That's true. But if you do that, it's going to be obvious nowadays to the sports books that that's happening. And I think they're going to stop this kind of proposition bet soon.
And so if I'm not going to play next year and I'm pitching right now and it's the last month of the season, you bet me and all of my friends are betting on my first pitch every game.
Yeah.
Well,
and you can suspend me next year.
Let's talk a little bit about the umpires these days.
No, I don't want, because that's the other thing. You know what you always hear? Go on, what do you hear? It drives me friggin' crazy. Oh, I like the umpires because I like the human element. My ass, the human element is the pitcher and the hitter. It's not the umpire. Get that human element out of the game. As far as I'm concerned, they screwed me enough.
Well, I look at the umpires today uh, as a real sore spot. You cannot talk to them. They don't listen. They miss an extremely high amount of pitches. I remember going up to a guy here when I was working for the Dodgers, probably over 5 years ago, and we used to have an umpire come out on the field when we were playing because they used to handle
Fraternization.
fraternization. Today they don't care. The
Exactly.
umpire came out and he just wanted to get out of, I guess, the umpire's little box that they have, and comes out, and he was the guy that was the night before behind the plate. So I struck up a conversation with him, and I was asking him about the strike zone and whatever, and he said, we have an opportunity to review our game. And he said, just a little while ago, I got done reviewing my game from the previous night, and I was a little bit upset with my performance. And he said, how so? And I said, how so? And he says, oh, I missed like 5 pitches. And, I was there the night before. And, I was,
He was talking about
kind
the
of
first inning.
exactly. I said, what, in the first inning you made 5 mistakes? Because that's the ones that I counted. So, and it was just kind of funny. I didn't say it, but I just said, "Wow, yeah, he missed that many in the first inning." Did he only look at the first inning? But they are having a lot of trouble, and there was a case in point that Instagram always, if you watch it a little bit, they always talk about these misplays. And Angel Hernandez, I believe, was the one who got probably the most guff from all of it.
Led the
And
league.
they ended up running him out early. I think it was a year or two ago.
Yep.
And, I guess just the beginning of what may come in the future.
Well, what if we can do it with an automatic system? In my opinion, we should. And just to help the hitting out a little, if the computer ever gets implemented, in my opinion, where they call a ball, and a strike, because that's what the rules say you're supposed to do, I think it should be 51% of the ball should be on the plate. That idea of just a thread of the ball on this side and a thread of the ball on that side of the plate, those aren't strikes for my money. The ball's got to be over the plate, not just a little thread of it. And because the computer could, I think it would help a little offense and call 51% a strike. And if it's not, it's a ball. And let's play baseball by the rules.
Yes, and so it's not tennis, in other words, right? You don't need a sliver to just touch that line.
Yes, tennis has just a sliver.
Exactly.
That'll be a debate, and they'll try to figure it out. But you have to improve the offense somehow. I think calling a strike will improve it, and making a strike a little harder to get would even improve it more.
Yeah.
Well, I do know that I have had a chance to grasp the new game that's being played today. And I can tell you that for my 2 cents worth, it's turned into a strikeout home run game. They can't spell bunt or hit and run or move the player over. The game that we ended up or started trying to understand and implement and play well doesn't exist anymore. The game that those people watched back when is not the same game that's being played today. And I don't think that baseball's done a very good job of educating the people with trying to understand, why do we have bullpen games? Why do we have bigger bases? Why do we have a runner at second base other than to speed up the game and let people go home at a reasonable time and then not use it in the postseason? And the pitch clock, I think it has merit because it will allow the infield to stay more focused in between pitches, and it will automatically speed up the time of the game.
Right.
But the rest of it, it's kind of hit and miss with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Yeah, I agree. I think you though, Guam. I'm not sure how many sacrifices you had. I'm going to say very few. And I'll also say, except for when you were playing for Lasorda, I'll bet you didn't have many hit and runs put on because you were the kind of hitter who could do so much damage, and you had such a good eye that you were kind of like a lot of these hitters today, where you had a box. They came into your box, you did damage on it. If not, maybe I'm wrong, but from because I never got to talk to you when you were playing that much. I just observed and appreciated, I think, the way you played. You didn't chase. That pitch in the dirt wasn't part of your appetite, and a lot of hitters are like that today. If you come into the zone, they're swinging. But I guess with two strikes, you knew how to protect. You didn't like to strike out. I know that. But one other thing, you didn't take a fastball down the middle for third strike. Maybe
Well,
ever in your career. You
I
see that too much now. Right.
I
Right.
I'll give it to you back plain and simple. I felt that you had to stay within the guidelines of what the individual hitter could do. And I was supposed to do damage, as you reflected on. I did not believe in giving up your power. I felt that we had other people who could steal bases, bunt, hit and run. That was in their expertise. If you ask people to do things that they are not accustomed to doing with regularity, it's probably not going to work out very well. Example, asking a shot putter to be a sprinter. You've got to stay within your realm. You've got to allow these people the opportunity to execute within the range of which they're capable of doing. And I think for the most part, we did that. I didn't have too many sacrifices. I didn't have too many hit and runs. And as far as taking pitches, um, I remember this coming up. It was a spring training game, and it was when I was with the Cubs. And it was the first inning, and I first time up, I hit a first pitch breaking ball for a home run, hit it over the scoreboard. And when I came around and got in the dugout, Larry Boa says to me, "God," says, "you sat on that curveball great." I said, "Larry, I didn't sit on that curveball. I responded to it. I reacted to it." I said it was there. It was a hanging breaking ball right there. And I said, I'll get the gist of his other pitches next time around. But if you're going to give me a cookie, I'm going to take advantage of it right away. And as far as taking pitches and having a pitch count run up, we have guys that do that too. If you're going to come after a power hitter, a guy that does damage with runners on base, and you get a first pitch fastball, you better attack it. That might be the best pitch you're going to see.
Interesting. Bob, would you have dealt with being a manager these days easier or harder because of the rules and the way the game is played? Because I can only imagine a GM saying, "Oh, hey, Bobby, you need to do this." And what are you going to tell him when he tells you what to do, besides you wanting to keep your job?
Yeah, I'm not sure that really happens all that much. It might
I think it
happen.
does.
Well, I've been inside a few GM's
Okay.
rooms, and I've been in a lot of major league managers' dugouts, and it doesn't seem like. I think it's the exception rather than the rule.
Okay.
Anyway, maybe there's lineup
Yep.
suggestions, and even sometimes there's lineup implementation from the front office. But I think guys go out and they understand guys who can do damage, like Ryan says, and they let them do damage, and they don't interfere with them. But it's different skill set that you need today. It's more about making sure that the guys are as comfortable as they can be, which I thought was always my job, because
Okay.
I thought that was always Tommy Lasorda's job, and I loved the way he did it. And I played for some other Hall of Fame managers who made me feel uncomfortable when I played, and the results followed. And so, I don't think it's so much different. Not as much fun, I don't think. Squeeze play is not implemented anymore, and that was always fun when I managed. I I'd like to surprise the other team if I could and walk off with a win. But other than that, I think it's pretty much the same what you're asking a manager to do. It's just that he has less to do because he's got 100 coaches now. I used to have 4 coaches. I never had more than 4 coaches on my staff, and they were overburdened. Now you have a left-handed hitting coach, a right-handed hitting coach, an offensive coordinating coach, a swing coach, a pitching. It's amazing how much help a manager has these days.
Yeah.
Well, all the technology, that comes into the game today is extremely different from the way that we played. We didn't have a lot of tape, a lot of video back then. We went on feel. And I think video was introduced, near the end of my career. But
Mid
it's
80s.
it's no different than anything else. You get comfortable with the way that you go about your work that you're
That's right.
successful with. And after spring training, I really did not like hitting in the cage. I wanted to hit on the field. I wanted to see the ball drop. I wanted to see the ball go over the fence. I wanted to see something past the net. We didn't use the tee, although the tee was there. Soft toss was a part of it. I didn't really like soft toss either. But I grew up a certain way. And then at the end of my career, here comes the video. More people are using the tee, and I understand the significance of the tee more today than I did back then. And I probably would have used it, but it wasn't part of where I got comfortable. And so I didn't use it much. And I remember, my last year in Oakland, briefly, half a year, they did a lot of drills off the tee.
What year was that,
And
Ronnie?
87.
Yeah.
And I just did not feel comfortable hitting off the tee. My work, I wanted to take live BP on the field. And that's how I got myself back into the way that I felt or way I needed to get comfortable again. But it may have looked at as well. He may not want to work on that, or he doesn't want to do this. It had really nothing to do with that. If I had grown up with it, I would have been hitting off the tee like everybody else. It's just something that I had my success one way, and now we've got some new things coming in, and I wasn't real comfortable with it.
Of course.
I'm wondering, Ron, how you would have approached the game now if you were playing, because they don't care how many times you strike out, as long as you're hitting the ball out enough times, right? They don't care about your batting average as much. How would you think a different approach at the plate? Like, okay, well, if I strike out, whatever.
I think that they are responding to that. They are listening to what. Oh yeah, well, of course, the average batting average for all Major League Baseball players today, I believe, is around 240, 242.
Right.
It wasn't that low
No,
when
that's
we
what I
were
mean.
playing, and if you struck out 100 times in our era of baseball, that was kind of like, God, I struck out 100 times. Now these guys are striking out 150, 175. There's no question that Shohei Ohtani this year will strike out between 175 and 200 times. All you got to do is look it up right now. He's like at 100 and a quarter, right?
Okay.
And how you can be able to do damage when you subtract those number of at bats from your total appearances is phenomenal. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
But they don't care. They want that 25-degree launch angle, and they want that launch angle used on every pitch. So it's like trying to hit something like this all the time. And if you don't hit it right there, you're going to miss it. We tracked it like this, if you can see it. We had a chance to hit on top of the ball.
Right.
And a lot of guys were, great contact hitters. But like I say, just about everything in this game has changed, and I'm not so sure it's for the better, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but would that have hurt your approach from your swing, thinking, oh, whatever, if I strike out, it doesn't matter? What do you think?
It mattered to me,
Okay.
because if you look at it and you say, this guy struck out 150 times, and take 50 at bats where you just say, this is what I do when I hit the ball. In that 50 at bats, there might be, 7 or 8 more RBIs. There might be another 15, 16, 17, 18 hits. There might be a number of more runs scored. You might have hit 3 or 4 more home runs, stolen some bases, done some more damage. That's not asking a lot, and you're still striking out 100 times.
Yeah.
So if you were able to present this kind of math to the hitters and say, you know, you hit the ball 50 more times based on the number of what you do when you do hit the ball, this is what your increase in production would be. I think you might be able to talk some of these guys into it.
Interesting. I'm not sure. The jury's not back yet. If you really want my opinion, I've been watching this. You know, the idea of being a swinger or being a hitter. That's the way I differentiate them. And I think they're leaning more towards guys being swingers, because if you get your best swing. And I thought I think you did that a lot, Ron. I mean, you had your best swing a lot, man. You didn't have shitty swings. You didn't, you didn't try to just hit the ball. You tried to hit it hard, and you had with your good swing, and you had a good swing most all the time. And I think a lot of the theory is just that now. I tried to introduce it in the mid 80s with a guy named Incavilla. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yeah,
I
I
took him
do.
right out of college. He was the Golden Spikes winner, all that stuff.
Yep.
And he struck out 150 times and he hit 35 home runs, you know, and he hit 260. And he said, you can't have a guy like that in your lineup. And I kept him in my lineup. And then by the time I was trying to keep my job and change him a little, I got fired because there wasn't any changing the spots on that leopard, you know.
Yeah, but he'd be making $20 million a year now doing that.
But
maybe
you know,
more.
he made a pretty good living doing that, and other guys did also. Now Dave Kingman got run out of the game. You play with Kingman, right?
Yeah.
Guam, right? Now Dave Kingman is today's hitter personified, right?
Right.
I mean, swing and miss, hit a home run, and walk.
Yeah.
And you know, he'd take his walk, he hit a homer, and he'd swing and miss a whole bunch.
Yeah.
And actually, I think he was pretty productive. But
He
I
was.
think the jury's still out whether or not you're gonna have everyone doing that, or if you need to blend. You know, like you said, some guys' skill set is to do certain things,
that's right,
and other guys' skill set is to do other things. I've been in front offices where they say, I want all 9 guys to have the same skill set.
Right.
Woo, that's a tall order.
I agree. It's like having all 9 guys do the same thing and nobody do the rest of it. You know, the one thing that I do think happens today that I don't believe happened so much in our era, probably did, but I think that hitters today, it seems to me, based on what I saw when I was really paying attention and being at the park a lot, was that they look pitch and location. And if they don't get it, they don't swing, because you see this happen so many times early in the count where this guy gets a good pitch to hit. And he must have been sitting on a breaking ball, or he must have been sitting on a breaking ball away. And he gets a pitch that's right in that wheelhouse. And because it's not where he wants it out here, he takes it. And, think about it.
You know who they remind me of? The guy used to say he'd come back to the bench and we'd say, how the hell can you take that pitch there? And he would say, oh, that pitcher's so dumb, he shouldn't have thrown me that pitch. And that was Fergie.
Oh, yes.
Right.
I do. Yeah. Joe Ferguson. Yeah. Joe Ferguson was a catcher.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, catchers try to think with the pitcher all the time. They try to guess like hell. All the time. They're guessing.
Strike 3, he'd walk back to the bench. He said, that's some dumb son of a bitch. How can he throw me that pitch? Well, you just struck out, Fergie. That's how he threw you.
That is great.
Yeah, there are guys doing that, as crazy as it is. And I shake my head. But then I go into the meeting the next day and I hear what they're telling the guy, and spin balls go out of the park. That fastball thing, it's harder to hit that out of the park. That slider pitch, or like that hanging curveball that you hit over the scoreboard on the first pitch, those balls that are over here, they go out of the park a lot easier.
Yeah, well, they all go out if you leave them in the middle of the plate.
Middle works. Yeah, middle works too, right?
Middle wheelhouse works real good.
Yes, I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
Yes. Hey guys, we're all over the place, which I absolutely love. I wanted to cover other things. Bobby, I didn't know you're going to hang out for so long, so I'm going to have to. I appreciate.
My dogs are ready to go for a walk. I got to go.
Okay, Okay,
Bobby,
before
great
you
seeing
go,
you. Good luck
Bob,
to
you're
you,
the
man.
before you
best. Good
go,
luck. Give family
what
Be
love.
well. Thank you.
one
You
more
too.
thing, Bobby, before you go,
Yeah.
okay? What do you remember about this team playing for Lasorda and these guys that Ron was the step below you guys in the minors at that time, and probably watching you have maybe the greatest PCL team of all time?
You know, a guy wrote a book about this team. He just sent me the
Oh, nice.
transcript, and I started remembering a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It was fun. The competition wasn't that good, obviously, and we ran away with the league. So, so it was easy to hit. But these dudes are good guys, and the one guy I remember the most is with his bat on his shoulder, Tommy Hutton, who
Yeah.
I think, along with Wes Parker and Keith Hernandez and John Olerud, he was the as good a first baseman as I ever saw, and he
Yeah.
probably saved me 50 errors, and I made 50 errors, but he was spectacular.
You know what? You just named 4 guys that are also right on my list. Those guys were terrific.
They were good
You might
players.
put JT Snow in there too,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
But
He
those guys are the cream of the crop.
they
Cream
they
of the crop.
they
No
saved it
doubt.
too.
Yes,
Yeah,
they did.
yeah, they saved it. Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, I
Bobby,
gotta
thanks.
run.
Thanks
Thanks,
for
guys.
joining us. Hi to your dog. We'll talk to you down the road, man.
See you. Thanks, guys.
All
See
right.
ya.
Thanks,
Thank
Bobby.
you. Isn't that great, Ron, to have Bob join
That
us
was
there?
great. Yeah, it brings back a lot of memories.
Yeah,
It's great reminiscing over those things, and we just got done talking old school baseball.
exactly. And I love it. Uh, I'm just thinking, though, that it's probably really hard for you guys from that era to watch this game because everything you learned, there's so much of it that is meaningless now.
The only thing that I can bring to mind is that the games are 9 innings. You got 3
Yeah,
outs.
exactly.
The 9 bases are 90 feet apart still. It's still
For
60 feet
now.
6 inches. Well, it might be an inch or two closer. I don't know. When they enlarge this base, is it supposed to be enlarged on the front side or the back side?
I have no
Right.
idea.
And
That's a good
also, if
question.
if you watch collegiate baseball now, when you have first base, there are 2 bases. 2 bases. Did you know that?
No.
At first base, there's 2 bases. Yes. The base that is between the chalk line, the regular one, the old one, the one that we know,
Yeah.
is for defense. And the one on the inside of that, which is double the size, is on the foul side of the chalk line, and that's for the runner. And that's to avoid injuries. And here's the switch. If there is a throw that's made to the inside, the first baseman can use the runner's base, and then the runner has to switch over and touch the other base.
Wow.
So it's I guess it's been going on for a few years now, but I was just down at UCLA to watch the college regionals that UCLA was a part of and won and went to the College World
At
Series.
Jackie Robinson Stadium?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I had a chance to see, some of this new stuff. And of course, all the rules today are implemented for protective player protection.
Yeah.
And some of it is good, I think. And then some of it is possibly a little overdone. I also saw in the Ladies College World Series 2 obstruction calls that I absolutely would have said there's no way possible that you get a call on that. And the player is not allowed to even remotely stand in front of the base, even if they have the ball and you're out by 10 feet. It's called obstruction. You're awarded the base.
Yep.
It blew me away.
Wow.
It changed the complexion of 2 really important games in the College World Series for the women. And I was shocked by it. I'm saying this is way over the top.
Wow. Okay. Before we go, we got to talk about your old teammate, Ryan Sandberg, who passed away this weekend. And
Wow.
Talk about him and just your thoughts on the fact that he was so well liked everywhere.
Well, it caught me by surprise. It hit me big time. I was out in the yard and one of my friends had texted me,
Yeah.
And I looked at it briefly because I was just kind of glancing at it. And he says, "So sorry for your loss." And I'm saying, "So sorry for my loss."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but I didn't see it. I just saw that. So
Right.
I'm saying, well, I'm going to finish up here and then I'm going to find out what that's about.
Yeah.
And so I go back into the house and I'm saying, Sandberg, what?
Oh, wow.
And so then I looked over on Instagram, couldn't find anything. Looked over on Facebook, couldn't find anything. So I Googled it and brought him up. And then that's when the reality hit.
Yeah.
And just like right now, I'm getting a little bit teary here.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Uh, uh, he was such a special player. His poise and preparation and focus, his drive for a young player at the time that where he was in his career was really off the charts. He was so well prepared and advanced. When I went over to the Cubs, they moved him off third base. He went over to play second base. And this kid was flawless. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't have mental mistakes. He didn't make physical errors. His throws were accurate. He knew where to set up. I'd always, when I got there, I told him, I said, this is where I'm going to feed you balls. Okay. I said, we got a chance to turn a double play. I'm going to give it to you inside part of the bag. If it's not there, it's on me. And I said, if we don't have a chance to get anybody and we're just looking for a force play, I'm going to throw it on the outside part so you can get out of the way. Because these guys back then, they used to barrel into you pretty good. And I didn't want him to get hurt. And, I did the same with everybody I played with. When Sachs took over for Davey Lopes, I basically gave him the same book.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of, hey, listen, the better prepared you are, the better understanding you have, we all want to be on the same page. And he was intelligent. He didn't do anything wrong, and he became quickly a big fan favorite and role model. And he was prepared every day to play. And the year that we won with the Cubs in '84, he was on top of it. Larry Boa and I, we'd been through that before, but Rhino was on top of it, and really chomping at the bit, to continue to push this forward until we clinched it and moved on. But
Right. Wasn't he MVP that year?
he was. He had an unbelievable year. I think he had. Uh, came within one of doing something that very, very few people have done in the game, which is have uh, 20 doubles, 20 triples, and 20 home runs.
Wow.
And I think he had 19 triples. Okay.
That's incredible.
I didn't have 19 triples, and I did, but 19 in 1 year,
I get
that's silly. That's silly stuff. That's Willie Davis kind of stuff.
Exactly.
And drove in 80 some runs and stole 30 some bases, and just had a spectacular year, won the Gold Glove. He had a distinctive style of fielding. Yeah, that's a great picture. I love that picture.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago.
Yep.
He kind of grabbed at the ball when the ball was coming at him. He'd reach out and kind of grab it, which you don't teach. But he was so good at it. When he took a stab at it, he didn't miss it. Usually you try to say, have soft hands and let it just come to you and then just kind of cradle it back in. But he turned out to be such a great player. And as great a player as he was that way as a person too.
Yeah. And how about this one here? That's the
statue that was
that
done
last year.
Last year, yeah, there was a statue unveiling in Chicago in June of last year. It was a big to do. Bob Costas was there. He set the stage for the unveiling, and Larry Boa spoke, and the Cubs owner spoke, and it was just a terrific event. I had a chance to spend some time not only with Rhino, but some of the other players that were key of that '84 team and that infield group that you had, Leon Durham, Rhino, Larry Bow, and myself. That was a really good unit. That was a really, really good unit.
Yep.
and Jody Davis was the behind the plate.
Yep.
We had Keith Moreland, Bobby Dernier, and Gary Matthews in the outfield, and we had Rick Sutcliffe, Steve Trout, Dennis Eckersley, Dick Ruthven, Scott Sanderson,
Yeah. Great.
a number of guys in the bullpen, Tim Stoddard, Warren Brewstar, and others, and our closer was Lee Smith. And
Wasn't
so,
Buck on that team with you guys?
no, he was not. Leon Buck got traded to Boston. That's what.
Oh, okay.
That's how. I'm not exactly sure. I don't think we got Eckersley in that exchange. I think Eckersley had already moved on to. I don't know. I don't remember exactly how we got Eckersley, but I do remember Dallas Green calling me in the month of May, early in the month of May, I believe it was,
Right.
or at the end of April.
Yeah.
And I had an arrangement with Dallas, if you so to speak. He asked me about things. He said, "I need to pick your brain a little bit here." He says, "I got a chance to get Rick Sutcliffe."
Oh.
And I said, "You're kidding." He says, "Yeah." He says, "I got a chance to pick him up. What can you tell me?" So I gave him a pretty good review. I said, "Look, this is a kid that for us as a rookie won 17 games,
Yeah.
couldn't make our postseason roster. He's durable. He's durable. He's going to give you the innings. He can field his position and he can swing the bat." And I said, "If you got a chance to get him, I would do it." Now I don't know if that was the final word, but Dallas pulled the plug on it, and Rick made me look real good because he went on to win the Cy Young Award that year. He went
Beautiful.
16 and 1.
Wow.
16 and 1. And another guy that he called me on, about trade deadline in these terms today. He says, "I got a chance to get another one of your guys." And I said, "Who's that?" He says, "Davy Lopes." And I
Oh,
said,
that's
"You got a
right.
chance to get Davy Lopes?" And he says, "Yeah." He says, "Well," I said, "think no further." I said, "This guy can play two infield positions. He can play in the outfield. He can pinch run. He can pinch hit, and he's a good guy in the clubhouse. And he knows how to win." And so, fortunately, Dallas did that too. So we really had a really good nucleus of utility players. We had Chris Spire, we had Davy Lopes, we had Manny Trio. Really a good group. All those guys can fit in and play, anywhere,
Yep.
anytime. It was a wonderful experience. Dallas, I rolled the dice with Dallas in a number of different ways, but he gave me a voice. And
Nice.
I can remember in spring training, my first year, we had gone over to play an exhibition game in Scottsdale against the Giants. And we got off the bus. And so everybody's waiting for their bag to come off. And what I was doing was I was observing, we got a Giants bag, we got a Dodger bag, we got a Philly bag, we got a Pirate bag, we got a Met bag, we got a Yankee bag,
Wow.
we got a Cub bag, we got yeah, I'm saying, we look like a co-op team. What are we, we're playing the San Francisco Giants. We're coming off bus looking like a co-op team. Who's really
Wow.
here? Who's the
Yeah.
team that we're playing today? So essentially, everybody grabbed a bag and they took it in the clubhouse. And then once the bags were in there, you just go get your bag and you go to your locker and go play the game. So after the game was over with and we're back in Mesa, I left a message for Dallas. I said, I'd like to, if we have some time tomorrow, I'd like to, sit down and talk with you for a bit.
Yeah.
And so he comes into the clubhouse after he got the message, and I wasn't playing this exhibition game at 1 o'clock today. So he said, "Hey, since you're not playing, why don't when the game starts, why don't you and I just pick up a chair and we'll go down to the bullpen and we'll talk."
Right.
Great. So that happens, and so he says, "What's on your mind?" And I said, "Look, this is all about establishing a new identity, here." When we came off the bus, it looked like we were a co-op team, and there was a different bag. There was probably 28 different bags. And I said, "If you didn't know better, you wouldn't even know who we were." And I said, "If we're gonna unite together and become the Chicago Cubs, and we should start traveling like the Chicago Cubs." And I think I blew him away. He was in awe, saying, "Oh my God," he said, "You're absolutely right." And
Needed a veteran voice to say that, basically, right?
well, yeah, and the ability to say it.
That too, of course.
Yeah, and that's not easy to do.
Yeah,
Sometimes they don't care about what you have to say,
that's very
which
true.
is pretty much true in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to the world.
So anyway, Dallas, that was kind of we talked about a few other things other than that. But at the end of the day, I had made my point, and the next morning when we came into the clubhouse, Yosh Kawano, walking around in all white in his white hat with a cigar, is grumpy as hell, like usually. He was, and we had all our brand new bags, which were supposed to go to Chicago for when we left spring training, were now available to be used for the rest of spring training. And so that was a major step towards pulling us together and making us feel like if we're gonna be the Chicago Cubs, let's let everybody know who we are. So it was the start of what I considered to be a really good relationship, and I had a voice, and we were all pulling together trying to make things better.
I guess they never put officially assistant GM on your business card, but I guess you sort of were for a while, right?
Well, I wouldn't catapult myself into that position just because I've got a couple things to say, but I felt
well, you
that
made
it
a few
was.
trades. You helped on that, and then
Yeah.
took the good
Yeah,
decision.
no, you're right. There was an opportunity. There was an opportunity there, and I made the best of it. But
Yes.
it was just the idea of getting to participate
Yeah.
and be a part of something that we all wanted very much to work out. And the Tribune company bought the Cubs. It was a new beginning, a new era of ownership in Chicago. And they had the ability, they had more money to spend, and we had a brand new clubhouse in 1984, which was back then, and a major upgrade from what was there before, and actually one of the better clubhouses in the National League. So we were moving positively, and Dallas was delivering because we 2 years into him being the GM, we won. That's pretty good.
Yeah, very good. Okay, we got to wrap this up. Last words for Cubs fans on Ryan Sandberg.
Well, the Cub fans should be blessed to have had a player like Ryan Sandberg. He was the epitome of what you would hope any player of that magnitude would be.
Yeah.
He was just a humble person. He was a great guy. He was a leader, and he was still part of the organization when he left. So we were very fortunate. Baseball is very fortunate to have had Rhino on their team.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ron. That's great stuff on your former teammate, and we have so much more to talk about. We got to do a part 2 sometime. We didn't even talk about much about your infield there, which is
we'll get to that next time.
Yeah, that and this World Series wasn't too bad either, right?
That too. Yeah. Well, the fortunate part about all that is that I was tied to so many different groups in our history and tradition that couldn't be denied. We had a very special group of guys that did a lot of terrific things. If you picked up the other picture that has a group that's the 30 home run foursome, you may have a picture of that.
Yes, I do.
But that's part of that. And the fact that we were the first team in Major League history to draw 3 million people back in 1978. So a lot of that goes back to our fan base. They were great supporters. We set Major League attendance records back then, and we gave them 4 World Series and a World Championship.
Yes, you did, and an incredible era. And I want to talk about your World Series play and all kinds of stuff as well. Bottom line is that Ron Cey is a legend of Dodger baseball, finally, and he has a book. So talk about your book, Ronnie.
Well, I started this about 3 years ago, and actually, maybe it's 4 now.
Okay.
Well, maybe it's even longer now. delve
I
back
think, yeah,
into.
my book came out close to the same time, until like 2021-ish.
Yeah. But when I finally had enough prodding over the years to finally change my mind about whether I should open things up and
Who was the
write a
biggest
book.
influence on that, by the way?
Oh, a friend of mine who just kind of kept after me, and he said,
Good.
"You sure you don't want to? You're sure are you absolutely sure?" And I said, in the beginning, I had a lot of walls to break down.
I
I
get it.
wasn't sure that I had a story to tell. I wasn't sure that anybody would really care about the story that I had to tell. And then it just became a point where I'm saying, I'm starting to feel a little bit better about this. I really do think I have a story to tell.
Good.
So let's see where it goes. So
Yeah.
the initial stab at it, it was during the time of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so we did all of our shows, or all of our interviews by Zoom,
Okay.
and had about 20 hours. And I had a ghostwriter who unfortunately did not give me his pre-existing condition with cancer.
Oh,
He
wow.
didn't tell me about it. And it was about the time that we were finishing up with the 20 hours of Zoom
Right.
that he was unable to continue.
Oh, it's
And so the transcripts did not come out well. Nothing else seemed to fall in place. So I had to basically box it up and start it over. And that's when I started with Ken Gurnick.
okay.
And Kenny was probably better suited in this case because he had been a beat writer in the early '80s.
Yeah, he was there.
He knows the history and tradition.
Yep.
He is a professional journalist. He taught at Cal State Northridge.
Yep.
He's got all the background. He's done other books with other people. And the other thing is that he still worked for the Dodgers, writing some stuff on online, I believe.
Yep.
And so anyway, the we sat down, we got it together. Kenny did a really nice job of putting pen to paper, but it took me about 2 years to do it.
Yep.
And I'm really pleased with the way they came out.
Good.
The people that have responded to the book have told me that it's a very easy read. They really enjoyed the stories that were told, and they zipped right through it. So I
Excellent.
hope that people take a look at that. We are over on my website at ronceyshow.com, and there's a number of signing options available over there.
Yep.
Yeah, looking for some
Congrats on that.
opportunities to. It was a book that I'm finally glad I came to terms with doing.
Yeah, it becomes a labor of love, and actually, the end of your actual playing legacy. It's a way to put an exclamation point on it.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things. I have a chapter in there on Bill Buckner.
Right.
I have. I did leave a few things out
Of course.
for obvious reasons. So not everything is in the book, but I tried to tell a story, and I pretty much started from the beginning, like I did with my speech the other night when I did the Dodger Legends event.
Yeah. Excellent.
And go through that, and kind of the bottom line is that I really do wish that more people would follow their dreams and not be deterred from the obstacles. Yeah, it's a tough gig at times. You do have thoughts of not keeping in pursuit of it, but as I said, ending my speech, I said I hope you follow your dreams and find out for yourself. You just might find out what you're looking for, as I did.
Yep, that's great. That's great. Well, the next time we talk, I guess, is Thursday, because I'm on your podcast coming up.
Yes, you are.
There it is.
I'm going to alert everybody to beware.
Yeah, exactly. That might be the end of the internet by the people are going to be disconnecting.
Yeah, and by the way, if you want to tune into that, we are carried by Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, Videos, Roku, and others. The live broadcast is on CRN Digital Talk Radio, 11 a.m. on Saturdays.
Wow, you are just an online guru now, aren't you?
Well, I don't know. I've learned a few things, but I'm far from being I'm far from having the final touch on it.
I got you. You got a little help too, which is great.
Yeah,
The least they could do is help you out at this stage.
yeah, for sure.
Well, Ron, we got to do this a part two because I got so much more to cover, and if
All
it
right.
took too long of your time today as
Yeah.
it was, I thank you for coming on, and Bobby Valentine for coming
Yeah.
on. Now,
Yeah.
I wanted Wimpy to come on, but he still has a flip phone from 1930.
Yeah, I
So
know.
he doesn't even know what the internet is.
Yeah, I think he's probably hanging out with himself in the basement.
Yeah, with his
Yeah.
golf clubs that he can't use.
Whatever.
anymore.
Yeah. All right,
right,
Ted.
thanks,
Thanks
my
for bye.
Great to see you. We'll talk to you on Thursday on his podcast, and looking forward to that. Thanks for joining us, everybody. The 50th anniversary tour right here on Touching Greatness.